Welcome to another episode of Maggies Makeover. For those of you who are already fans of Maggies, welcome back. For those of you who are new to the channel, thanks for taking the time to ride with Maggie and I. Either way, like, subscribe, and share if you enjoy the content. Last we left Mechanic Steve, he was struggling in restoration hell zone when it came to Maggie's exhaust system. Let's head down to the garage and see if he's able to move forward and make any progress on that exhaust system and move on to removing the intake and exhaust manifolds, the motor mounts, and the drive shaft. All right, so the evening's passed. We're back here in the garage. Both Maggie and I have had a night to think about what we're gonna do to get out of this restoration hell that we're in right now as far as the exhaust is concerned. And we've determined, as much as I've wanted to save this exhaust, I'm gonna replace it anyway. So we're gonna actually take a cutting wheel to it and cut it right at the manifold of the exhaust header and just drop the exhaust. It just goes to show you that, you know, when you're doing one of these restorations, if you're gonna replace the part, take it off the fastest way you can. And sometimes that doesn't necessarily mean undoing all the nuts and bolts if you're gonna scrap the part anyway. So let me give you a view of where we're gonna make these cuts. We're gonna come in here and make a couple of cuts up probably as high as we can on this exhaust system so that we can pull it from the other side once we undo it from the head. You can see this pipe here kind of shields this second pipe. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna first make a cut up here, that'll expose this pipe, and then we'll make a cut there. Once we do that, we're gonna support the exhaust system kind of midway back and then remove the three locations that I showed you earlier, which will then just drop the exhaust system. Okay, so because of the diameter of that cutting wheel and the guard that's actually on it, it's not going to cut through all of these pipes, even if you move the shield around. I know some of you are probably thinking that. So in an attempt to take a little bit more out of the remaining pieces, I'm going to move to a smaller tool. And again, I may get all the way through, I may not get all the way through, but just trying to reduce the amount of metal there to then have to bend it and break it when we remove the exhaust system. So we're gonna use this little Dremel tool and hopefully it's gonna make things go a little bit smoother. I'm gonna grab a light. I think we are pretty much through. Like I said, probably about ½ inch of metal left on this. This one's cut all the way through. I think if we support the muffler, like I said, part way down, undo the mounting bolts, and then gently try to rock it back and forth to sort of break off the rest of this metal here. I don't think that's going to put too much stress on the exhaust header up there. So that's what we're going to do. The cutting is done. When this comes undone, there it is. All right, we can slide this out and lay it on the ground. All right, that's a minor victory today. So I'm pretty happy that that worked out. As I said, I don't think we put undue stress on the exhaust header, and exhaust is gone. I may take, I don't know, I may take one other cut here, I don't know. But in any event, the exhaust is off. That's going to allow us now to go up and take the exhaust and the intake manifold off. Okay, so now we're going to take off the manifold bolts. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, looks like 5 of these, and they are 1/2 inch size. Let's see if we can get these off. We take these off, and then I think both the intake and the exhaust manifold will be able to come off of these studs out from around them and these washers. And hopefully I can lift this up and rotate it back, because you remember I left a little bit of the exhaust below that manifold. So let's see how these go. Yeah, I soaked these in penetrating oil and actually heat cycled them a few times. There we go. Yeah, so that's coming out nice. So far so good there. Okay, so I think we're going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 off. That'll allow the intake manifold to come out. All right, so let's see if this can come off now. And there's the intake manifold off. Now, we'll take these remaining bolts off. That's the very front one. Okay. Moment of truth. I'll try to get out of the way here so you can see it. Headers have cleared, and there is the exhaust header, the manifold. Here are the 2 bolts. So the next item that we're going to remove from the car is the drive shaft. So if we come up underneath here, you'll see there's the transmission right there. The drive shaft is connected by a universal joint. These are 5 1/2 inch nuts that have to be removed. It's blind on the other side, but the good thing is those are studs, those are held in. So let's follow this all the way back. You see it goes back to the differential. There's a universal joint there. There are 4 1/2 inch nuts and bolts. Let's come around this side, give you a better view. Those are not, they both freely rotate, so you have to put a wrench on both of those. And you're probably wondering, what's a screwdriver doing in there? Well, I'll tell you in a second. Let's go back up to this end. And so when you start trying to apply torque to these things to take them off, you're going to find that that spins the drive shaft, and even if you put it in first gear. So that screwdriver that's down at the back end can be wedged in there and actually stop the drive shaft from spinning, so it'll allow you to actually take the nuts and bolts off. Okay, so we're going to now take these off, right? So again, screwdriver in the back to hold the drive shaft from spinning. And then just, again, I already unloosened these, but you'll get an idea of just wrenching these off. There's the first one for the lock washer. Get the screwdriver out. You have to take the screwdriver out, rotate it, put the screwdriver back in to get it to a point where you can hold it, and then take it out. There's the second one. And the lock washer. There's 4 of them. Okay, so that's the front end. Now we're going to move to the back. We're going to take 2 1/2-inch wrenches. I'm going to grab one side here, and then we're going to simply do this sort of a motion. And there's the first one out. Now let's go to the next one. Pops out. That is the second one. Third one. Oop. That's it. There goes the nut for that one. Let's find it. All right, one more to go. And okay, so a simple tap back here after these nuts are out, it's going to allow me to raise this drive shaft up back here. Pull it off of the studs here, angle it up, and then just slide it out like that. The drive shaft is now removed. So Maggie's engine is cradled to the frame by 2 motor mounts. There's one on this side, which you can see over here, and another one on this side over here. They're held on by 4 bolts. Let me give you a view of those that have to be undone. There's 1, 2, 3, and then if you look down there, there's a 4th one. I may have to take this plate off to get access to that final bolt down there, but we're gonna figure that out as we do it. And then the other thing that needs to be done is actually to disconnect this ground wire as well, so that the engine can come out freely. So let's get to work and get those steps done. So I'm going to start with the hardest one first, which is the one all the way down there. What you're going to find when you try to take that off is that you can get, they're 1/2 inch, you can get a 1/2 inch wrench on one side, and then with an open end box wrench, you can go down in there and grab that nut, because these both, they spin freely. And so you rotate and continue to turn these, and it gets loose. It's pretty loose now. Let me see if I can hold it with my finger. Yeah, I can turn that nut now. So that's the first one. Let's try the next most difficult one. Let's come up here. Try this. hold this and turn that. There we go. Second one is off. Now the easy ones. Ah, there we go. Turn it by hand. This one's out. Let's go for the last one. Spin it by hand. Okay, so that is the passenger side of the motor mount. You're just going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Don't think that I need to bore you with the details in the film of that. That's a wrap for this episode of Maggie's Makeover. Thank God Mechanic Steve was able to get out of Restoration Hell Zone and drop Maggie's exhaust system so he could move on to removing the intake and exhaust manifold, the drive shaft, and the motor mounts. Stay tuned for next week as Mechanic Steve wraps up the engine pull preparation work when he removes the starter and prepares the transmission to come out with the engine. He's going to drain that oil, he's going to disconnect the electrical connections, disconnect the speedometer, and he's going to remove the gearbox support. We look forward to seeing you on the next edition of Maggie's Makeover. You can imagine 50 years ago, as this thing was rolling down the assembly line, there was a guy who actually screwed these on. 50 years later, they're coming off. You know, my knee is down here on the seat and I'm looking into the car, and I gotta tell you people, there's a lot of rat feces in here. It's a long way off from being a daily driver. That's half the fun though, right? Half the fun. Oh, stop hitting my head on the leaf spring. Hey there.
I just want to let you know there's 3 raccoons in the trash.
In the trash, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll...
So that, because eventually there's going to be enough trash where they can just jump right out.
Yep.
So I didn't want them jumping out on somebody.
Okay, hey, thank you. So, you know, I one time went out to go get a movie, this many years ago. I jumped into the seat of my Honda CRX, which I left the sunroof open.
Yeah.
Jumped in, there was a raccoon sitting right next to me.
Did they do anything or leave you alone?
No, I got out of that car in such a hurry.
Yeah, no, these ones do not look too happy.
Yeah, no, they can be rabid, right?